not like, we do the Bible study, we shut the book, and then we never talk about anything. But it's how can we enter into those faithful rhythms that are happening all the time, where we're starting to like just see things a little slant, see things maybe in a different way, if we just slow down enough to notice.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what we came down to in our report too, is how can adults give language or give an awareness of where the sacred is already happening? How can you help the young people in your life pay attention in different ways?
Yeah.
So the definition you give, the quote, I should say, that you give in your opening from Friedrich Buechner it gets at the heart of exactly what we're saying about paying attention. It's a beautiful, short, pithy quote. Sacramental moments can occur at any moment, at any place, and to anybody. And that quote as your book's foundation really resonates with what Springtide called sacred sensibility. And that's really just like a posture of noticing and paying attention, like I said. It's a way that trusted adults, it could be parents, but it could be whomever, help young people recognize sacred moments. Yeah. So it's appreciating sometimes what's already happening.
Right.
Being able to notice it and name it. And sometimes the adults need that just as much as the young people.
All the time.
A sense
Absolutely.
of sacred.
I do.
A sense of sacred sensibility.
Yeah.
Are there ways that you recommend parents pay attention in certain ways, or help the young people in their lives pay attention? I mean, at the beginning you said it might be doing laundry. It might be, you listed out these very normal, often things seen as mundane. But how can we see the sacred in our everyday rhythms?
Yeah. I think young children, we have a lot to learn from them. You talked about nature, right? Yeah. The young people you're talking to are like, well, I experience a lot of sacred moments in nature. Well, so do I. We went to go on a spring break trip, right? And we went to the mountains and we saw these like beautiful formations. And it was just so cool to hear some of my younger kids being like, God is so creative. Like God made this that is so creative. Like God didn't have to do this, and look what God made. And then we started having this conversation, right? Of like, what stirs in you when you create? What types of things
I like that.
you like to create, And we started having this really interesting, conversation. Somebody connects with music, somebody connects with like, clay and working with their hands. And then we're experiencing this sacred space, but then we are still talking about it at home, right? Yeah, we're still talking about it in our actual lives. We don't have to go to the mountains to be inspired by God's creativity, and that we can be creative in light of that. Like, we could go on a walk in our neighborhood. I can encourage my 7th grader in, the drama program that he's in, or the music program that he's in. And it's just this continual, ongoing rhythm of conversation and curiosity.
I mean, I think what's so beautiful about the questions that you offer, what you're pointing to just from the spring break trip with your family and the questions in your book, is that they're really open-ended.
Right.
I think where a lot of kids, and rightly so, maybe don't really want to do a family devotional is because there's like a right and wrong answer, and it feels like homework, or it feels like something just to get done and over with, instead of just this awareness being infused into everyday life, where you're not waiting for them to get the right answer. You're just genuinely curious.
Right.
Where does your kid feel a sense of sacred? Like you said, whether it's working with their hands or music or being in nature. I mentioned our Springtide Ambassadors previously, but we asked them that question too, of just where would you want adults to sort of help you pay attention, or to share moments together that could have more of a sacred feeling infused into them. They said sharing regular conversations. They want to be discussing spiritual ideas and themes with openness with the adults in their lives. They also often say having space for asking questions. And I think your book does a a beautiful job of pointing out ways that those questions can happen. Introducing spiritual practices. A lot of young people want to learn different ways to pray or to connect to the divine, and engaging outdoor experiences, like we've mentioned. That's a huge one.